Welcome to the ATX Pest Podcast, episode 15, Centipedes and Millipedes, or what most people call it, worms. So we get a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages, emails, whatnot, asking for help with, I have worms, okay? Not the type your dog gets either, they're scraping your butt across the floor, you got bigger problems. But anyways, millipedes is what's referred to as the worms. Okay. And then centipedes, there's multiple different species of these. Okay. So, but the most common one is the Texas redheaded centipede, which is nasty, right? We don't want to get a bite from them. Um, that will hurt. Okay. So people are freaked out by those with good reason. They're scary looking and they will pack a little bit of a punch. The interesting thing about centipedes is that they actually have venom glands. Okay, so they can inject venom. Um, Small species of centipedes can't penetrate human skin, so there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about us as humans, anyways, with them. Okay, they don't have enough venom, even if they did inject into us, that they're going to have a really negative impact. That's otherwise, other than just like localized pain, um, possibly swelling. If a redheaded centipede, um, you know, was to bite you, that's definitely possible. But other than that, it's not enough venom to have any lethal or any really negative impact on a human at all, or even a small child or anything like that. So take that fear out of your head there right now. Um, but centipedes and millipedes, getting back to them in general, are commonly seen around your home, obviously. Occasionally they get inside, in which why they're labeled as just as scorpions and American cockroaches are, and other like wolf spiders are all classified among other pests as well too, as occasional invaders. Okay, they don't intend to come inside. There's nothing that they're looking for inside your home other than they're attracted by the coolness because they're probably in search of food and water. Okay, they're not looking for your home for as shelter. They just wandered inside because you have gaps in your doorways or whatnot. So that they just wandered in. So that's, like I always stress, seal your damn home up. You're not going to have a bunch of bugs getting in. Yeah, occasional one off here and there, but if you seal up your doorways, your home really, really well, you are going to deal with very little occurrences. Okay. A little bit about centipedes. Um, there's many different species of them. Heck, I don't even know how many different types. I didn't look it up. I know there's many different species. They have many legs on it. This is kind of a fun fact between millipedes and centipedes. Centipedes can be anywhere from 10 to 100, depending on the species. Centipede, centennial, get it? 100, right? So sometimes they're referred to as hundred leggers. Um, and then with millipedes, you would think then if they refer to centipedes as 100 for centennial, you would assume that millipedes would be a million leggers, but they actually refer to them as 1,000 leggers actually. Um, and so millipedes are the ones that are look like the worms. Millipedes are very worm-like. Okay, um, they have many body segments on them, and each segment bears two pairs of legs. Okay, and that's why they appear to have, and they do have a lot of legs. So that's why they refer to them as 1,000 leggers. In comparison, they look like they have, you know, 5 times as many legs as a centipede does. Okay, so that's where they get that little nickname from. They're found, same thing. They're found under. They feed on like decaying matter, plants, and they're often you'll find them underneath mulch and rock beds and things of that. Any type of like debris that's left out, flower pots, firewood. That's why it's very important to keep your landscape, your yard clean and clutter free. Not only for them, but just about everything else, of course. Anything pest related, really. Um, they can climb up on with all those little legs. They're pretty prolific climbers. They can climb pretty well. They find they're so tiny. They find their way into the home sometimes through some. Even if you seal your home up really well, these are one of the type of pests that can sometimes still scoot their way inside. Okay. Um, the good thing about them is they're completely harmless. They're not going to do you any harm. They are not going to be biting you or stinging you or anything like that. They're really just a moisture driven pest that you're going to find at times after we've had a lot of rain. That's where they're going to be found. And so after rains, they can come out in really high numbers. And so you'll have a little influx of them. So if you've had pest control service going on and you've had some recent services, you have to trust that there's product in place, especially around foundations and doorways and weep holes and things of that nature that your pest control company should be treating, is that they're going to get in contact with that barrier. And for the most part, all pests are typically crawling through or walking through or crawling right through several barriers before they would even enter the home. Okay, so they're going to be infected. They just don't die immediately. So there again, seal up your home. You're going to have way less occurrences, but sometimes these little tiny ones are going to be little one-offs. They're gonna find their way in at times. Make sure you have proper drainage in your yard. And one of the biggest things that we're finding that we have found over the years, had it actually, one of my managers called me today and said he went out to a customer's home that is baffled why they're continuing to have some pest issues going on. Nothing major. But he went to the home and he said, well, how often are you watering? They claimed once a week for 5 minutes, which is impossible. It was so wet around their home where other homes today are dry. And they had a bunch of mildew and mold and everything just growing actually on the foundation itself. Okay. So they're not being completely upfront, we'll say, of what they're actually doing. But throughout the conversation, I think they end up understanding that they are watering too much. So I don't know, maybe cut it down to 1 minute a week, right? So anyhow, most people are watering way too much, um, especially if we've gotten rain recently. There is absolutely no need. If you know there's a bunch of rain in the forecast, go out if you and turn off your sprinkler system if you have one of those fancy ones that most people do these days. In these newer homes, you all have those ones that you can go and shut off. And then they say, "Well, I don't know how to do that, and I don't want to." Well, then learn, okay? Because if you don't want to have pest issues inside your home at all, or even outside contributing to that, then limit the water. And if you have standing stagnant water on your property, which is causing a lot of pest issues, mosquitoes, or whatever it may be, you need to have that addressed within reason. I mean, obviously, you're not going to spend tens of thousands of dollars, maybe modifying, or maybe you will modifying your yard if you care enough. But I get it; it's really expensive, but you can find someone to put a couple French drains in or put a gutter in with the proper drainage away from the structure. Another thing is too, when it comes to moisture, if you have sprinkler system around the home, other than don't run the damn thing too much, make sure the sprinkler heads are pointing in the proper direction and you're not causing a moisture problem up against the home, which is going to attract a lot of pests, obviously, and possibly, unfortunately, maybe termites. So those are a couple things to be aware of. with that when it comes to moisture, and that's a big one. Okay. Um, got a couple notes here I just wanted to mention, which is interesting. And these notes are coming from a publication actually from the University of Florida. It's a book that I have. It has some really good information in it. Um, let me see here. Little fun fact: centipedes, they only have one pair of antennae, and you can see those antennae sticking out. Um, pretty pretty noticeable. They call them, people call them feelers too. Um, and they actually centipedes actually have, and I knew this one. They actually have very poor eyesight, very underdeveloped eyes. Okay, and they're mostly active at nighttime because they're active predators, and they, like I said, they feed mainly on insects and spiders. Um, they have venom glands that immobilize their prey, but the toxicity of the venom is not enough to be harmful to us humans. Okay, so that's important to know, so you don't have to freak out about that. Um, the jaws of most of the species of centipedes out there are not even large enough, big enough to be able to even penetrate human skin. So that's something to be aware of. But larger species, they can inflict some painful bites, like the redheaded centipede. If you've ever been bit by that one of those, you know what I'm talking about. They're pretty nasty. I actually have one preserved in the bottle that my dad put it in a bottle one they found on my driveway one day. It's been here since I think the first year of business, actually, or second year in business. So about 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. Pretty interesting. It was huge. It was about 9 inches long. It was a scary one. And I actually had one probably about 6 inches long that came in my front door one time and we watched it scoot across the living room floor. So they are scary looking for sure. That's really about the biggest information on it. The big thing is understanding that they're not harmful as far as when I'm talking about millipedes, because that's the most common thing you see. The little worm-like ones, they're moisture-driven. Nothing to really worry about, get excited over. Um, they're just going to come out after rain or too much moisture. Very, very common. Nothing to be overly concerned about. But I just want to kind of help people identify those. People never know what they are, and they're actually called millipedes. Okay, and gave you a little bit of information on centipedes as well. And millipedes is just funny. I don't know why they don't call them million leggers. I guess thousand leggers are just easier. I don't know. It's weird. You'd think they would have ran with that. For some reason, that really bothers me, as you can see, because I brought it up. I think I said that a little while ago. So, anyways, y'all be good. I hope this kind of clears up a little bit about centipedes and millipedes. Maybe you learned a little bit on how to prevent them and also not to fear them as much as well. Redheaded centipedes run like hell. Call your company. Those are nasty. But at the same time, you see one in the summer and you just recently had a pest service. They're probably infected. They're probably going to die. If you got them inside your home and you don't want to see one inside your home because it freaks you out, which like a scorpion, and I understand, see your damn house up. Have a great day.